Live.
And it's time for us to say a very good morning and thank you for coming through, or should I say, swimming through to the studio this morning.
It was swimming through this morning.
So this morning, Nico, you're talking about how to spot a bad investment.
Yes. The question I have is, what do you do if somebody promises an investment that will allow you to double your money in 3 months? Well, that offer was made a couple of months ago, and 600 investors withdrew their money and handed over the money. In a couple of cases, the amounts handed over was more than R1 million per investor. And the justification that a lot of people used was to say the person who made the offer claims to be a Christian. He is known to church leaders. His family has invested. What could possibly go wrong? Well, what went wrong was that they didn't get their money. They didn't get their investment. They didn't get the promised profits. And that causes problems. So I'm sorry if you are one of those who got caught by this particular scam. So I want to make some suggestions. There are certain things you can do to protect yourself. Firstly, anybody offering you any kind of investment has to be registered with a Financial Services Conduct Authority. Somewhere on that prospectus, there has to be a number that says Authorized Financial Services Provider. And there's got to be a 5 or 6-digit number, depending how old that practice is. Now, what you do is you take that number, you go onto the Financial Services Conduct Authority, and you type that number in. And if the prospectus says, this offer is coming from Joe Soap, and you put that number in, and the name that then appears on the screen is not Joe Soap, that is your first warning that this is a scam. If the name that comes up is that it is Joe Soap, then at least you've passed the first level of protection. The second thing you really need to do is to contact somebody who's registered and has a CFP and ask them to investigate that particular investment. They're going to charge you for it. It's not a free service. But they will put their comments in writing. And if they then make a mistake, you have written proof that you got some kind of advice. And you then go after the person who gave you the advice. That's why they're going to charge you for that service, because they've actually got to do some work. They've got to apply their mind. Now, some people say, I don't want to pay for advice. That's fine. But then what happens if you don't know what to do? So if you don't want to pay for the advice, then you have to do the homework. You've got to do what that CFP would have done. The first thing they would have done is to check that the person has a license. The second thing they would have done is to read the prospectus carefully. If a promise sounds ridiculous, it is ridiculous. If the bank is offering you a return of 3.5% per annum, somebody who's now offering you a 400% return clearly is talking nonsense. And this means that a lot of people have problems because they put their money down, they put that money down without applying their mind to logic and without doing proper investigation. So now, if you are the victim, what is it you have to do, particularly of this last scam? The Hawks are investigating. You have to go and lay a charge with the police. It is important that you do that. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 years to work through the court system. But that person is going to be charged with fraud. And if only 100 of the 600 known victims goes forward, he's only going to be charged with 100 counts of fraud. whereas he could have been charged with 600 counts of fraud. So whatever happens, you have to go to the police. You have to be patient. It's going to take at least 2 years. The second thing you have to do is you've got to lay a formal complaint with the Financial Services Conduct Authority. They need to know. They're already aware of this case, and they've already warned people in the media, don't invest, but you've still got to lay your report. The regulator will issue a ruling. Now, the problem is because this person didn't even have a license, they would not have the professional indemnity cover. So while the financial services will issue a ruling, that ruling will entitle you to sue the individual. Whereas if you check that number, you would have sued the insurance company. That's where the problem comes in. Folks, the fact that somebody is a brother in faith does not make it a good investment. And you cannot, in today's climate, just assume that a promise will be met. You do have to apply logic and get help before you put hundreds of thousands of rand into an investment. Thank you.